Good morning, dear students. Today we are going to continue the current electricity. So, the last class we have learned about the resistors, then combination of resistors, series and parallel combination, then the color coding, how to find out the value of the resistance of a carbon resistor, and I have given some numericals also. I think you did not ask any doubt, so you understood all the concepts and you have got answer for all the questions. So now let us move on to the next topic, that is temperature dependence of the resistor. How the temperature will affect. Already we know that there are three factors resistance. So we know the three factors. One is length and another one is area and another one is the nature of the materials will affect the resistance. But one more factor also there, that is nothing but temperature. So here we are going to discuss about how the temperature will affect the resistance. Let us assume that first let us go resistivity. How the resistivity will be affected by what temperature. Let us take at the reference temperature T, let me take it as T0. The T0 is considered as reference temperature. Reference temperature means the known temperature. For example, it may be the room temperature. At the room temperature, the resistance of the given material is given as rho naught. The rho naught is nothing but the reference resistivity. Now, the temperature is increased. Now the temperature become what not at T. This let me take T1, this let me take it as T2. T2 becomes T. That time, the new resistivity is given by the formula as what not rho. Okay. There is a relation that the rho can be written as rho naught into 1 plus alpha bar into delta T. This alpha bar is known as temperature coefficient of resistivity. We can call it as a temperature coefficient of resistivity. Now, from here, rho by rho naught can be written as 1 plus alpha bar into delta T. So, rho by rho naught minus 1 is equal to alpha bar into delta T. Rho minus rho naught by rho naught is equal to alpha bar into delta T, or alpha bar is equal to rho minus rho naught into rho naught delta T. So this is the formula for the alpha bar. The alpha bar is nothing but the temperature coefficient of resistivity, and the unit is, you know, the unit for resistivity, ohm meter divided by ohm meter into temperature Kelvin. So ohm meter will cancel. Kelvin raised to minus 1 or degrees Celsius raised to minus 1. So this is the unit for temperature coefficient of resistivity. So we could able to calculate the temperature coefficient of resistivity based on this. So the temperature increases. What will happen to that resistivity? This value, because when the temperature increases, automatically the resistivity also increases. Here the delta T denote, delta T means nothing but T2 minus T1. Change in temperature. Final temperature minus original temperature. So simply for our convenience, I can write it as alpha bar is equal to rho 2 final, rho 1 initial divided by rho 1 into T2 minus T1. So this is the formula to find out the temperature coefficient of resistivity. So the resistivity will be affected by what not the temperature. Now we are going to draw three graphs. Okay. First we are going to draw a graph for resistivity and temperature for a metal, it means copper. The graph will be comes this way. This point you can call it as rho naught. Okay, this we can call as rho naught. Understood now? So this is for a metal. If it is a alloy, let me take nichrome. The graph will be a straight line. So here a rho and here are not a temperature. Now let me draw a graph for semiconductor. In the semiconductor, that means like germanium or silicon. So the graph between rho and T has taken the graph would not inversely proportional. Or you can say that as it is increases, it decreases. The graph will be decreasing. See, in the metal, the resistivity as the temperature increases, resistivity increases. In the alloy, as the temperature increases, resistivity increases. But in the semiconductors, it decreases. The explanation for the semiconductor you will be learning in the 9th chapter, because there is a separate chapter for us semiconductor. You will be studying very detailed why the resistivity decreases as the temperature increases. That all we will be studying in the 9th chapter. So these are the graphs for resistivity versus here. But these graphs are given in the textbook. But they will ask in the board examination about what temperature and conductivity graph. So you have to take just the reciprocal for metals and alloy. It's an inversely proportional graph, but for a semiconductor, it's a directly proportional. That means as the temperature increases, conductivity increases. But here, as the temperature increases, conductivity decreases. Understood? These are all about the resistivity. Now, how the resistance will change. Now, let us derive the relation between resistance and other factor. Okay. Just now listen. We are taking the same similar phenomena. Resistance or let me take when T1 is equal to T0, that means nothing but a reference. The temperature will be, the resistance will be taken as R naught. When the temperature T2 increases, that means T2 become T, the resistance will be taken as R. So the resistance of the particular temperature can be calculated by the formula R is equal to R naught into 1 plus alpha delta T. There we have taken as alpha bar, here we have taken as alpha. Alpha bar is the temperature coefficient or resistivity, alpha is the temperature coefficient of resistance, that is the main difference. Alpha is the temperature coefficient of resistance. Alpha bar is the temperature coefficient of resistivity, but here we are going to take alpha. Alpha is the temperature coefficient of resistance. Okay. So now similar way we can write R by R naught is equal to 1 plus alpha delta T. R minus R naught by R naught is equal to alpha delta T. So alpha is equal to R by R naught. R minus R naught divided by R naught will be delta T. Or it can be written as alpha is equal to R2 minus R1 divided by R1 into delta T, or R2 minus R1 divided by R1 into T2 minus T1. So this is the formula for the temperature coefficient of resistance. Here also the unit will be Kelvin raised to minus 1 or degree Celsius raised to minus 1. So this is the unit for resistance, Kelvin raised to minus 1, or you can take it as whatever, degree Celsius raised to minus 1. Sure. So these all about the variation of temperature. Variation of resistance with whatever temperature. Now, Limitations. Okay, we have come to a conclusion for the Ohm's law. Now let us enter into the limitations of Ohm's law. What are the limitations? And you know that Ohm's law has certain limitations. Ohm's law cannot be applicable for all the cases. That is the reason in the definition itself we must use a word that at a constant physical condition. That means if the conditions are not constant, the value will vary. For example, normally at a constant temperature, if you draw a graph between potential and current, the graph is a straight line at constant temperature. Suppose if the temperature increases, what will happen? The graph will come this way. This is the graph A, this is the graph B. So this is for what? So it never obeys. The graph B never obeys the Ohm's law. According to the Ohm's law, the graph must be, A graph is a straight line. But here the graph is not a straight line. This indicates that when temperature increases, it never obeys to the Ohm's law. So this is a limitation for the Ohm's law. Second one, semiconductor devices like diode. Let me take diode. Diode, if you draw a graph, here plus V, here we are going to take minus V, plus I and minus I. The graph will come this manner. So here also the graph is not a straight line. Diode is a semiconductor device. This also you will be studying in the 9th chapter how the graph you are going to get over there. And here you see it never starts from the origin, it starts from another certain value. Then gallium arsenic. Gallium arsenic also is a semiconductor device. If you draw V and I graph, the graph will come this way. For same current, there are two potential V1 and V2. This may be 5 ampere current. Here 10 volt, here 20 volt. How it is possible? For the same current, two different potential. According to the Ohm's law, it never be, because according to the Ohm's law, V directly proportional to I. That means one value of current should have one value of resistance. There is no two different values, we cannot able to get it. But here for the same current has two different value of potential difference. Okay, so it cannot be applicable. That means Ohm's law cannot be applicable in these cases. Okay, so these are the limitations of what not Ohm's law. So here one thing very important, this let me take it as A, this let me take it as B, and this let me take it as C. Sometimes they may give the graph and they will ask you to find out the region where the resistance is negative. If you want to find out resistance negative means the slope must be negative, so that which region? BC. So the BC is the negative resistance region. Don't forget, the BC is the negative resistance region. Understood? So these are about the limitations of this Ohm's law. Now let us move on to the next topic. That is nothing but electrical energy and electrical power. First, let us move on to the electrical energy. Denoted with the letter E. Okay, electrical energy, nothing but energy means you know that the ability to do the work. But here energy means the ability to do the electrical work. We can call this another electrical energy. It is given by E is equal to VIT. To keep the formula easily, let you take E as engineering. VIT is, you know that VIT is very famous for engineering. Okay, E is equal to VIT. Engineering is equal to VIT. Like that, you can keep in mind that formula. E is equal to VIT, where V can be taken as IR. So if we substitute, you will be getting IR into IT. That is nothing but I square RT. So this is equation 1. this equation 2. Now substitute I is equal to VR, then E is equal to V into V by R into T you will get, that means V square by R into T. This is taken as equation 3. See, here one interesting factor we must note. The second equation indicates that E directly proportional to R. The third equation indicates that E inversely proportional to R. See, the second equation indicates that E directly proportional to R. Third equation indicates that E inversely proportional to R. Whether both the equations are correct or not, or is there any changes in these two equations? First one indicates that E directly proportional to R. Second one indicates that E inversely proportional to R. The physical quantity, in one equation it is directly proportional, in the other equation it is inversely proportional. Is it possible? No, it is not possible. Correct? Not it is not possible. What is the real meaning of that? Na? Actually, in this equation, the second equation, which one is constant? See here, the second equation, I constant. The I constant means it indicates that the R is equal to the net capacitance of all the resistors connected with series combination. Because I constant means the combination considered as a series combination. In the series combination only current will be constant. But in the second case you see here, which one is constant? V constant. V constant means R will be taken as RP. R will be considered as what? Not RP. That means this R indicates what? Not RP. That means both the equations are correct. But in the first equation, current constant, so the R will be taken as the net resistance in the series combination. In the second equation, voltage is constant, so this R will be taken as the net resistance in the parallel combination, because the potential will be constant only in the parallel combination. In series combination, the current is constant. So this R and this R are different. The first R indicates the series combination. The second R indicates the parallel combination. Understood now? I think you have understood the difference between these two. So there are three formulas for E. E can be written as VIT, or E can be written as I square RT, or E can be written as V square by R into T. But this formula has some special significance. This formula E, that can be written as H. H indicates the heat energy. That is equal to I square RT. This formula only we can call it as Joule's law of heating. So this formula we can call it as Joule's law of heating. E, that will be equal to H, that is equal to I square RT. So this otherwise called as Joule's law of heating. We could able to use this formula for so many various applications that you might have learnt in your 10th standard. There are three important applications for this Joule's law of heating. How many applications? Three important applications. The first one, it is used in heating devices. So many heating devices are there. All the heating devices we are using this thing, like iron box, water geyser. So these all are heating devices. Second one, it is used in bulb, electric bulb. That is nothing but a tungsten. So it is a filament used in in the heating devices we will be using element. The element is made by alloys. Don't forget, the element is made by alloys like nichrome. Nichrome is an alloy which is used as a heating device. Here we are using bulb. There we will be using tungsten as a filament. Okay. And the third application, it is used in fuse. Fuse, you know that you might have learned very detailed in 10th standard. Fuse is a device which is used to save us from overloading and short circuit. Overloading and short circuit. Both the difference also we know that. Overloading means what? Not if so many home appliances are connected in the same circuit, that leads to overloading. Short circuit means when the live wire makes in contact with what not the neutral wire, that time large current will be flowing through that. That we can call this what not short circuit. Both during the short circuit or in the overloading, if we have fuse, then the home appliances will be saved from the short circuit and what not from the overloading. That is the main application of fuse. The fuse always connected in series combination with a live wire. It is always connected in series combination with which wire? A live wire, because live wire only we have the higher potential. 230 volt potential will exist. So the fuse wire always connected in the series combination with what not a live wire. That is the main application of what not the fuse. You might have seen the fuse. It would be have what not a two terminals. The two terminals are connected by what not a thin wire. There is nothing but fuse. This is a thin wire, okay na? So thin wire means the thin wire is made by lead and tin alloy. Why we are using not a lead and tin alloy? The lead tin alloy have very small melting point. The principle we know that it's nothing but what not a heating element na. So easily what not it gets melted. If the temperature exceeds more than that, easily it gets melted. That is the reason we are using what not the lead tin alloy for fuse. Okay. Now let us move on to the, I think you have understood this thing. Now let us move on to the next topic, that is nothing but electrical power. So what is meant by electrical power? Electrical power denoted by the letter P. Electrical power means the rate of doing electrical work E by T, or rate of doing electrical energy, that we can call as a power. You know the formula for E, engineering VIT, so divided by T, the T get cancelled, then you will be getting VI. If you substitute V is equal to IR, you will be getting I square R. If you substitute I is equal to V by R, then you will be getting V square R. So there are three formulas for power. P is equal to VI, P is equal to I square R, P is equal to V square by R. Understood, Nada? So this we can call as electrical power. The electrical power, the unit nothing but joule by second. Joule by second, otherwise called as watt. James Watt, the inventor of steam engine. Okay, we are using watt as a unit for electrical power. So unit joule by second, or otherwise called as watt. Okay, watt is the unit for electric power. Sure. Now there are two. This is the SI unit. There are two different units. Commercial units. One is for power and another one is for electrical energy. One is for power and another one is commercial units. You can ask what is meant by commercial units. Commercial units are used in practical purpose. For example, if I want to get a motor to pump the water from the well to up. So if you go near the hardware shop and if you ask, they will ask 1 HP or 2 HP motor you need. Then HP means what? Horsepower. The horsepower is the unit of power. Power, what is the unit? HP or horsepower. Okay, that we can call this one horsepower. So there is a relation, 1 horsepower is equal to 746 watt. 1 horsepower is equal to 746 watt. So the commercial unit nothing but 1 horsepower. 1 horsepower is equal to 746 watt. Okay. The next one, the commercial unit for energy. Commercial unit of energy, what you can say, not a kWh, kilowatt hour. The kilowatt hour, otherwise called as unit. The kilowatt hour, otherwise called as not a unit. And there is a relation between the kilowatt hour and the SI unit. That is nothing but joule. Okay. So the kWh, kilowatt hour, can be written as 1 K is equal to how much? Kilowatt, 1000 watt. And 1 hour is equal to 60 into 60 seconds. That you can write it as 1000 into 3600 watt second. That means 3.6 into 10 power 6 watt second. The watt second otherwise can be written as joule. So 3.6 into 10 power 6 joule. You may get it out. How watt second is equal to joule? You know the formula. What is the formula? Power is equal to work done, or you can say that power is equal to electrical energy with the time, with respect to the time. So electrical energy, the unit will be, now substitute all the thing. The power unit will be joule. Power unit will be watt. Electrical energy unit will be joule. And the time, the unit will be second. That means joule can be written as watt second. So use that thing. The watt second can be written as joule. That means 1 unit of current or 1 kWh will be equal to 3.6 into 10 power 6 joule. 3.6 into 10 power 6 joule. So we could be able to calculate the value of current based on the given thing. Understood now? So this is called as electrical energy and electrical power. Now let us move on to the next one, that is nothing but internal resistance. What is meant by internal resistance? Internal resistance. Internal resistance means nothing but the resistance offered by the chemicals or what not, electrolyte of the cell. The resistance offered by the electrolyte of the cell is known as internal resistance. You know that all the cells are made by some chemicals, some electrolytes. When the electrons moves through the electrolyte, they will make some collision. Okay, they will offer some resistance. That resistance only we can call it as what not, internal resistance. The internal resistance denoted by the letter what not, R. The internal resistance denoted by the letter R. For a newly prepared cell, it has what not a low internal resistance. As the age increases, what will happen? The internal resistance also increases. One particular day, the internal resistance will become equal to the external resistance, or may become equal to a capital R. When both are become equal, we can say that the cell drained out, we have to throw it away and get a new cell. Listen clearly. For a newly prepared cell, the internal resistance have very low value. As the age increases, that means the time of usage, as the age increases, the internal resistance also increases, and it reaches what not the value of when it reaches the external value, R becomes capital R, what will happen? The cell will be dried out. So we have to replace the cell with what are old one. That is called as the internal resistance of the cell. Understood now? Thank you, students. Let us continue in the next class. Okay.